So my name's Emma Schermer Tamir. I co-founded Marketing by Emma in 2016 with my husband, Erez. That gentleman standing to the left of me is my husband, and we specialize in creating marketing writing for online businesses, helping them with everything from Amazon product pages to website copy and any of those other really core marketing texts. And what's really important about your online presence, and especially your online writing, is it's essentially serving as your salesperson. So you don't necessarily have the opportunity to interact directly with your customers unless they open a chat box or make a phone call. So when they're not doing those things, you're really needing to rely on your marketing writing to communicate all of those things and in some ways even engage in a conversation. However, it's in a one-way conversation. So you need to be thinking about all of those questions that somebody would have and make sure that you're really addressing those in a way so that they find that information that they have, that you're able to build that trust and really help to push them along to make a purchase. So I think one of the first mistakes that I see people make is not really understanding the reason why somebody is actually going to want to make a decision, and especially a purchasing decision. So it's really natural when you're talking about something to just kind of go into descriptive language mode. So saying, this is this size and this is made of this material. And all of those things are important details that people will want to know. But if you get just too feature focused, then you're really missing out on connecting with those core reasons why somebody is ultimately going to be making a purchasing decision. So we buy products because we have problems that we want to solve. And those problems can be all sorts of different things. And it's very important that you're clear about what problems your product or service is solving. And then that you're thinking about how you can really make sure that you're addressing those problems, not necessarily always in an upfront sort of way, but that you're at least aware of them and helping to show customers why your product or service can really help to improve somebody's life. So don't tell them what it is, but rather why they need it. This is one of my favorite quotes. It's actually in the signature of my email because I think it's just essentially sums up exactly what I'm trying to say with this section, which is thinking about what are those underlying human motivators and those emotions that are going to ultimately be the things that people are using to make their decisions, and how can you really connect with those rather than just simply relying on the general details to make that decision for them. So finding the benefit is something that can be a little bit tricky. So what I recommend doing is every time that you want to describe a certain aspect of your product or service, ask yourself, why does this matter? And sometimes you may find that when you're doing that, you'll get to a little bit of an in-between place where it sort of seems like you're getting to the benefit, but you're not all the way there yet. So really common example would be something like durability. On its face, durability seems like a benefit in and of itself. It's long lasting, that's great. But when you're thinking about, let's say, a pair of hiking boots, obviously you want them to be durable, but the fact that they're durable is actually helping you to be able to safely go into certain environments that if they weren't durable, you could really be putting yourself at danger or just generally very uncomfortable. If your shoe breaks in the middle of nowhere, you don't necessarily have an ability to go find a replacement. So it's not just the fact that it's durable, but it's really helping to give people confidence to be able to go into uncharted territories. And so that's a deeper emotional motivator beyond just simply saying that it's durable. So you want to make sure that you keep asking why until you land on that sort of almost even sometimes uncomfortable emotion, and then thinking about how you can take that back and address it in a way that's sensitive and that's not necessarily poking somebody in the eyes and saying, oh yeah, you're afraid of, something really terrible happening to your child, but at least having that in your awareness so that you can write in a way that's going to be sensitive to that. And then it's not to disregard the features of your product or service, but really to use those features then to support your claim. So if you're saying, my product is going to help solve this problem, and then because it has X, Y, and Z. So you know that you need to really dig in and get a clear understanding of why people are buying your product. The next super important thing that you need to do is figure out, who are you? And I understand that this image may look a little bit silly. It's a sausage in a banana peel, but I think it demonstrates the message that I'm trying to communicate, which is, if you don't know who you are, at your core, who your business is, what you stand for, what your values are, if you're not really clear on all of those things, then you're probably just going to start trying on a lot of different marketing tactics. And so you may try on a banana costume, but at your core, you're a sausage. And so there's going to be something that your customers may be experiencing that is creating some sort of disconnect. There's a lack of authenticity there because you're not at your core really a banana, and people feel that and they see that, whether they feel like you're just trying to trick them into a sale, or it just feels kind of empty and lacking that deeper conviction. And so it can be a little bit tricky, and it takes a lot of hard work, and it's not necessarily also something that you ever fully get the answer and then you say, okay, I can check that off my list, I know who my business is, and I can move on to other things. This is really something that, as you're growing your business, as your business changes, that you're continuing to come back to and making sure that what you decided upon a year ago or 6 months ago is still relevant to what you're doing now and moving forward. So I really like quotes. I think there are other way smarter people that say things way better than I do. So almost all of the growth that exists, that's available to you, exists when you aren't like most people and when you work hard to appeal to folks who aren't most people. Seth Godin is amazing. I would highly recommend that you check out his blog. He creates fantastic content. And I think this quote is so powerful because it really speaks to something that I see people doing all the time. And particularly when you're new in business, it can be really tempting to do this, which is that you see the top competitors and you say, okay, well, they know what they're doing. It's working. They're having a lot of success. So I'm just going to modify whatever it is that they're doing and just do that because it's working for them. And essentially, you're just making it harder for yourself when you're doing that, because you're trying to go into the ring to fight against the strongest competitor there is. Whereas if you were to do a little bit of work and figure out what you can do to really make yourself stand out and be different, then you can actually change the conversation and maybe even create a competitive space that wasn't necessarily even there before. And I have an example that I think will do a really good job of demonstrating this. So we work a lot with people that sell on Amazon, and I'm going to compare two Amazon listings side by side. So on the left, we have Melita Coffee. They're a very well-known, long-established coffee company. They've been around for over 100 years. And this is their high caffeine ground coffee. On the right, we have Black Rifle Coffee Company. They are an e-commerce coffee company. They're much newer to the scene, and this is also their high caffeine coffee blend. So the products are very similar for what their function is, but the brands themselves are quite different. And so what I'm going to suggest in looking at this a little bit deeper is that Black Rifle has really dialed into who they are, and they are really utilizing that to their advantage, and it's paying off for them very well. So first thing that I noticed when I'm looking at this is Melita is selling 13 ounces of coffee for $7.99. Black Rifle Coffee Company is selling their coffee for $16.99, and it's 12 ounces. So you're getting less and you're paying more than double. So obviously, Black Rifle Coffee Company is probably having way better profit margins, but they're able to do that because they are really understanding the value of having a defined brand. And so they're not just having to compete on price, they're really able to compete on something else. And Black Rifle Coffee Company is a veteran owned coffee company. And they really make that this central message that they're communicating way more even than speaking about the coffee than itself. They are talking about, we're a veteran owned company, we support the military, we support law enforcement, and some of these are somewhat divisive topics to be vocalizing strong support for. And so they understand that there are probably some people that will see this and will say, I'm not into that. That's not the coffee for me. And they're okay with that because it is at the same time going to be something that people that are excited about that are going to be extra excited about the opportunity to be buying their coffee from a company that they can feel really passionately about and connected to. Melita, their copy looks fine, but you'll see that it's just kind of bland, which is, and also lacking energy, which, this is a high caffeine coffee. So you would think that there would be high energy copy to match high caffeine coffee, but that really couldn't be farther from the truth. And if you see buried in there, they actually say that they invented the coffee filters in 1908. And I think that's fascinating. And what I also think is really interesting is that that's, to me, showing that they're obviously experts in coffee, that they've sort of revolutionized how we consume coffee. And that could be a really interesting sort of perspective to be taking. And instead, it's just buried in, and they're really not embracing that detail in a way that could make this a much more compelling story and also have that same clarity of who they are and what they're trying to achieve and all of that. So if you were to scroll down on the Amazon page, this is what you would see, and all of it looks nice. It looks it's well designed and everything, but you could just as easily paste any other large coffee company brand name on that, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. There's really nothing unique about this product page that's getting you excited, that's calling you out. It's just sort of there because it needs to be there because, they want to look good, but there's no substance to it. Black Rifle Coffee Company, on the other hand, if you were to scroll down on their page, you would find all of this information about the brand itself. So you see a picture of the team, you see a letter from the founder, and you see that there's only one small section here that's actually dedicated to the coffee itself. Everything else is talking about who they are, what they're trying to create as a company, and inviting people in and saying, come be a part of this with us. Even the subtle imagery of, if you look closely, you'll see there's merch all over the place. So the founders holding a mug, they're under the mission statement, they're wearing t-shirts. So there's all this, they're really creating this experience and something bigger than just some random coffee that you're buying online because it was the first one you found. And in doing that, they're not just helping to make an initial sale, but they're also really helping to cultivate that relationship with people so that they become their coffee of choice. So they are helping to create repeat business and probably creating brand evangelists that will be eager to tell their friends and family about this great coffee and the awesome company behind it. So don't blend, be different, be that everything bagel in a bunch of plain bagels. It can be kind of tricky to do this. Where do you start? What questions should you ask? A really fun exercise that you can do is create a brand persona. So essentially imagine your business as a person. Think about, what would that person wear? Would they have a sense of humor? If they do have a sense of humor, what kind of sense of humor? What's their favorite food? Starting to fill in all of those details can really start to give great clarity to how your brand should and can interact in the world. And that can help inform everything from the types of language that you're using when you're writing, to the types of imagery you're using, to even how you interact when you're conducting customer service or other types of behind the scenes things, because now you have this persona that everybody can relate to and identify with and get on board with, and they can use that to make decisions. Also, figure out what makes you special. Even if you are selling the exact same thing as everybody else, you still have something different that you bring to the table, whether it's because you have different values that help inform what it is that you're trying to create, whether it's because you have some other passions that you can combine with this. There's always something there that can give you a unique edge, and it's very helpful to figure out what that is, and not to be shy about making that known, and taking a stand to be a little bit different. And then make it very clear from the get-go. So identify what it is that makes you different. And what that can also do is help to fight choice paralysis. I'm sure that many of you, if you've had to buy anything online, you can kind of go back and forth, all, trying to compare things that just feel identical, and it's completely frustrating because you're like, okay, well, this says this and this says this, and I don't even understand what's different or the same. And so if you can figure out what makes you unique, then you also make it easier for customers to choose you, because you're not just trying to say, okay, well, we're identical to all these other people that are also identical. You are creating a new category, like Black Rifle Coffee Company. They're not competing against a lot of other veteran-owned coffee companies. And so by making that part of what they're selling, they are creating a new category instead of having to go head to head with other people. And in doing that, you can really build a brand, not just a business. I may be going a little bit long, so I'll try to speed through this as quickly as possible. Who matters most? Your customers. So this is an example, the number one pet supply product versus the number 3098 pet supply product on Amazon. I don't know if this is still the case, but at the time I was making the presentation, these were the numbers. And I'm comparing on the left is a not a well-known brand, and on the right is the biggest name brand within that category. So you can see that there's a pretty big gap between those two. The number one best-selling product on Amazon, believe it or not, is poop bags. So to pick up dog's poop. I would have guessed treats or litter or something else, but no, it is poop bags. It's not a very exciting product. It's certainly not a glamorous product, but they are achieving phenomenal success. You see they have over 27,000 reviews. So they are creating plastic bags that have people so excited that over 27,000 people have made the effort to go leave reviews for them. They're also biodegradable. So you see they're starting to figure out how to differentiate themselves a little bit than just selling your standard bag. On the right, we have Glad bags. They have a lot of brand recognition. They should be able to compete really well, but they are falling way behind Earth Rated, who I own a pet, and Earth Rated was not a known brand to me. On the left, you see that they have these images where they're a little bit funny and playful, but they're also speaking to pet owners and what pet owners care about. So it's leak proof, they're not messing around. Easy to separate and open, which if you've ever had to deal with bags like this, you know how frustrating it can be to tear them apart, but also how oftentimes the first bag gets messed up because the sticker is hard to disattach. And so they've even designed an easy lift sticker to deal with that. So they're very matter of fact. They have a sense of humor. They understand that what they're selling, there's no way to make it better than what it is. And they're kind of just relating to the fact that this is probably not anybody's favorite chore that they have to do. On the right, we have Glad, and they have very minimal text for us to work with. But one of their only images says, waste management products built with Glad level strength and innovation. So it's just this very disconnected text that is totally unrelated to the customer and what a customer would really care about. It's very much just using that kind of internal marketing speak that few people would see and have any emotional connection to. So it's really a missed opportunity. And in my eyes, they're just kind of riding on the fact that they are such a well known and established brand. And they're not really doing anything to attempt to win over the customer or compete against some of these other less known, but really clearly focused companies. So put your customers first, identify their interests. So, what are your customers interested in beyond just the product that you're selling? Similar with what you did with your brand persona, think about what interests they have, what influencers they follow, what are their favorite television shows. So, start to picture what their lives look like surrounding the use of a product like yours. Understand their fears and worries. Create a customer avatar, which would be the same as that brand persona, just for your customers. So, even going so far as to give them a name, if they went to college, where they went to college, all of those details will make it much easier to, when you sit down, whether it's to write or create any other kind of plan, you're not just staring at a computer screen, you're able to picture an actual person, and it will make that your copy or your blogs or whatever it is that much more compelling. So thinking about what's important to them, not what just makes you sound good, not just that really fancy sounding sentence like what Glad used, but what do they want to know about? What do they care about? And really honing in on that. We don't have time for this. So if you would like these slides or to discuss more, we will go into it. And here are my details, my phone number or the business phone number, my email. Feel free to reach out with questions. I love talking about all these things and would be happy to help in any way I can. Oh, and also we are hiring right now. So if you know any writers that are looking to join a company, then please send them our way.